Good morning. It's time to call to order the September 24th meeting of the Oklahoma City Airport Trust. First item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the August 27th, 2015 Oklahoma City Airport Trust meeting.
Move approval.
A motion is second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. And it is so approved. Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. And I'm excited about the presentation that I have in my director's report. It's on the terminal expansion efforts that we've been working on for some time, and we have just finished the 30% schematic design reviews, which is the first barometer as you get into a project. And so we have some really cool concepts, and we want to outline how we're going to expand the east portion of the central terminal, as well as add some gates that will be the beginning of an east concourse to the airport. This is a capacity-driven project, mainly because we only have one vacant gate at the airport that's not leased, and our air service recruitment is going very well. We want to continue to recruit air service for Oklahoma City, and so we're adding more gates in our expansion. I'd like to call Rick Johnson up from Frankfurt Short Bruiser, who's the lead on this project, who will make a few introductory remarks and then introduce his team. Rick?
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everybody. My name is Rick Johnson. I'm a principal with FSB here in Oklahoma City. I just want to express what an honor and a privilege it is, truly, to be a part of this project. We've worked in Oklahoma City for 70 years, and this is an iconic potential effort for the Oklahoma City, and we're very excited to be here. So those of you who don't know me, my wife says I don't emote, so this is me being excited. So thank you for that, honey. Our presentation today includes members of FSB, or Frankfurt Short Bruiser. FSB is the prime on the contract for the design of the terminal expansion and serves as AE of record and project manager. We also have today members of HOK. HOK is an international architecture and engineering design firm. I think they count maybe 250 terminal projects in their portfolio. They are our design experts and have truly come up with some really exciting ideas to show to you today. Let me introduce the speakers today. We have, first of all, I want to introduce Casey West. Casey's with FSB. You see him every month. He's been serving the airport for 7 years. He is assistant project manager. Mark Timbrook is our project manager, FSB, for the project and our primary point of contact. We also have Nye Owens, architect with HOK, one of the design architects who will be speaking, and Casey Renner, who is primarily responsible for the aesthetics that you'll be seeing today. So with that, I want to turn it over to Mark Timbrook. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. As Rick mentioned, my name is Mark Timbrook with FSB, a project manager. And on behalf of the design team, I want to express how excited we are about this project. And we have some really neat stuff, as the director mentioned, to show you today. So we'll just get right into it. Just a brief overview of the presentation. I want to give you a little bit of history on the project, and then I'm going to then turn it over, and we're going to go over some of the floor plans, and then I'll come back and some of the exciting images we have to show you, and then I'll come back and update you on the schedule and the budget. Just for orientation, this slide, you're all very familiar with this. It's basically the terminal project. We have a west concourse, and we have the cargo building to the east. A little bit of history on the project and what sort of laid the foundation for where we are today was the 2011-2012 update to the master plan, which called for an expansion to the west of the concourse. This is an anticipated 30-year horizon with 25 gates. And as I mentioned, that sort of laid the foundation for our project. And this is our project with the 30-year horizon. You see it's showing two phases with an anticipated 28 gates. The thing about our project, there's particular goals, as the director mentioned. It's primarily a capacity-driven project, meaning, simply put, we want to have as many gates as we can, and our interpretation of that is to try to get as many in the first phase as we can. So we have 4 gates instead of the 3, and so we've able to add a few of those amenities. The second goal is to improve the passenger processing as well as the guest experience as we travel through the airport, and I'll get into some of the diagrams about that. And thirdly, one of our main goals was to improve and enhance the airport operations and expand their capabilities by some consolidation in some of those items there. So this is our current terminal Phase 1 project. You can see the two smaller red areas there. Those are the existing checkpoints today, security checkpoints today, in addition to the TSA checkpoint that's at the end. So you also notice the big red square in the middle, that's our consolidated checkpoint. And then you'll notice that in the first phase, as I mentioned, the 4 gates that we're providing. We have this diagram to show you that this is this is not an easy project to deal with, and we wanted to point this out as one of the barriers to the project as we see it. And I'll tie this back in with a little bit of the schedule and getting into some of the way that we plan to approach this project is the demolition of the cargo building, the moving of the tenants that are in there as well. So I wanted to just show this diagram to explain the process later down the road. So having said that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Nye Owens, and talk about.
Thank you. Good morning. Now, going through the programming and planning phase of the project, one of the things we looked at was whether to provide a 3-gate or a 4-gate concourse. And it was decided that 4 gates were preferred. Those are shown in blue on the plans. This allows for the new concourse to have 3 leased airline gates and 1 airport gate. The airport gate connects to an international diversions hold room, which allows the airport the opportunity to provide an improved service to diverted passengers on international flights coming from nearby international airports. It reduces the risk of breaching the Department of Transportation ruling on the amount of time that passengers can be held on an aircraft. The other opportunity with the airport gate is it meets a project goal in that there's a potential for it to provide the accommodation for regular future international traffic into Will Rogers World Airport. With this, there's the opportunity to create a shell space that has the potential to be a future Federal Inspection Services facility. Looking at the ticketing and departures level, the main components of the project are the 3-bay expansion to the east of the existing terminal, along with a support core and circulation core. The 4-gate concourse, which is slightly wider than the current concourse to accommodate the sterile circulation corridor on the north side and slightly deeper hold rooms for improved passenger service. The existing TSA security checkpoints are being converted into greeter lobbies and a TSA support space. And the elevator currently located in the circulation zone of the departures hall is being relocated to improve passenger flow on the way to the new consolidated checkpoint. Now, in designing this level, the double height space of the departures hall circulation zone is continued into the 3-bay expansion and above the security search queue area. The security search checkpoint is designed as a column-free space for ease of circulation and equipment layout, both now and in the future as the TSA's equipment needs change. On exiting the security, back up a second, the security checkpoint actually has 8 lanes currently designed with a potential to increase to 10 as needs demand by reconfiguring the space immediately to the west of the checkpoint. The 8 lanes meets the current and mid-term processing capacity of the airport, whilst the 10 will provide the capacity for the forecasted future throughput with full concourse build-out. On exiting the security checkpoint, the passenger enters a generous recompose area that opens onto a daylit double-height volume that offers views out onto the airfield and of the aircraft. and also down the existing terminal and into the new concourse, thereby orienting passengers to their departure gates. The greeter lobbies, these are double height space as well, and they offer an opportunity for those meeting arriving passengers to wait outside of the departure hall and outside of the circulation route of departing passengers. Now, these greeter hall that we see here in yellow on the left of the screen, there are a few opportunities offered by this space, one of which is to improve the airport's function by relocating the YMCA Military Welcome Center from the current cargo building into this space adjacent and access directly off the greeter lobby. Another opportunity here is for public access to be provided directly from the lobby to the police accommodation. And final opportunity is that to access an observation deck located at level 3, which we'll talk a little bit about in a moment. Another opportunity here in the support core is to relocate the badging operation, which is currently on the lower level, and this can now have direct access from the departures hall. On level 1, the main component of the project here are the 3-bay expansion shell space shown in orange. That is the potential future Federal Inspection Services facility space. An international divergence hold room shown in blue. We have airline support space, airport operations offices space, the relocation of the elevator from the baggage hall circulation zone, and the opportunity to provide seating in the rental car counter spaces that are going to be moved out. So within the new construction here, we have the shell space for the Federal Inspection Services facility, and whilst this is shell at this stage, we have laid the space out in a preliminary fashion based on Customs and Border Protection's current space planning guidelines. The International Divergence Hold Room is entered from a lobby that is connected to the sterile circulation system that connects to the airport gate at the concourse level. Also at this level, we have the opportunity to bring the airport operations offices from the cargo annex and into the support core here, thereby improving efficiency of operation by locating them closer to the badging operation while still maintaining airside access. On level 3, 2 functions here, the administration and conference center, and also the observation deck. Now, whilst we were going through the planning phase with the airport, we found an opportunity to provide an observation deck that can be accessed from the non-secure side. 2 access points are provided, one at the north of the departures hall and one from the east greeter lobby. Now, the observation deck offers an opportunity for the public to view the airfield, also for those saying goodbye to departing passengers to view them on their way to the gates. And it also gives an opportunity for those meeting arriving passengers a place to wait should flights be delayed for any reason. The administration offices and conference center is space that we can provide which is required for the expanding operation. This is located above the security checkpoint and connects to the existing administration offices. I'll now hand over to Casey.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nye. I'll just walk briefly through the experience then that Nye was speaking to. So if you look at the slide here, this is the east end of the existing terminal. This is essentially the view or the space that we'll be adding the majority of the security checkpoint and the lobby spaces that you've seen. So the experience arriving to this from the departures road really tries to become an exclamation point to the existing building. Due to the curve in the road, you can see this basically from all points as you arrive. And this will become the sort of the new center point, the new destination for somebody arriving at the airport. We've got a big double-height glass fin-supported wall facing the north, bringing in ample daylight, and really try to sort of express this as a sort of a glowing beacon. As you move around in the sort of aerial view here, you can see that we've gently transitioned the roof down from that point from the north. But as we do that, we're sort of providing a clear story space to bring daylight into the new circulation space of the concourse to the east. The taller roof portion you can see to the north, facing the parking garage, is also mirrored again on the south with a large window facing the airfield. So that's the large observation deck and recomposure and lounge seating area that faces outward. You can see the skylight in the center, which will bring daylight down to the center circulation space. Looking at the south elevation from the airfield, you can again see that the big panoramic window that serves the new lounge at the second floor, as well as the observation deck on the third. You notice the lines of the hold room areas are consistent with the lines of the existing terminal and the west concourse, as is the clear story bringing light in. So getting into the passenger experience, when you arrive into the ticketing lobby and eventually the security checkpoint, we're providing a very generous double-height space, again, consistent with that, the lobby, and really providing some sort of a termination for that. With enough room, you can see on the left of the image for some lounge seating, a chance to sort of gather yourself before you move into security, but then also really highlighting that bridge connection that will eventually bring you over to the observation deck. We've kept the materials consistent with the existing building, trying to sort of use a natural palette of stone and wood, but really keeping it modern and highlighting daylight and views outward. So then as you move through security, it's really about kind of refocusing you back to the airport experience. It's not about the security checkpoint, but really about the daylight and how do you orient yourself to the gate, and really trying to get to the experience of being at the airport, making it exciting again. So you can see the existing terminal off to the right. The new gates would be off to the left in this image. And then as you look outward to the airfield, from the second floor, with the lounge in front of you, it's framed by a couple of green walls. Really provides some lounge seating area that is adjacent to but separated from the main circulation space. And then moving your eyes upward, you've got a screen that allows daylight to be sort of reflected downward and diffused into the space, a chance to sort of suspend artwork from that ceiling, and you can see the observation deck beyond where non-ticketed passengers could go and look outward to the airfield. Moving against the south wall, against the glass, you can see we've kept that double height space, have a very transparent glass wall that's consistent with the glass wall in the ticketing lobby currently, supported by glass fins. That allows passengers at the lounge space at level 2 and the observation to have a totally unencumbered view of the airfield. You notice we've got a deep overhang there that's facing south. We're trying to keep as much sunlight out of that space as possible to keep energy costs low and to also reduce glare. Moving up into the observation deck, again, this is really trying to bring that public amenity back to the airport, and I think this is something that's very exciting that, in our experience, really doesn't happen anywhere else in the United States or the world for that matter. So non-ticketed passengers can access this space, get a clear view of the airfield, but, instead of looking down at your smartphone and trying to see when, your loved one's coming in, we're providing I guess we'll call it interactive artwork. That will allow you to see weather patterns, flight patterns, and really track the sort of bigger network of flights across the country. So that's on the east wall that you're seeing there. So you can look out to the airfield, but you can also see an expanded view of how Oklahoma City fits into the sort of big network of transportation. So moving back down to the recomposure and town square, as we're calling it, this really becomes kind of a sort of pivot point for the airport. As we mentioned, as we expand to the east, this becomes kind of the new center. So I think we're really trying to highlight that with artwork, ample circulation zones, daylight, and really making it an active space. again, you can see from the observation deck level, this is now a chance to look down into the concourse, which is a very unique experience. So as we move a few steps to the east toward the gates, again, this is really just to talk about daylight, circulation space, concession spaces, and really trying to make it a flexible, comfortable experience for people arriving at the gates. And finally, when we get back to the end of the concourse, so this is at the east end looking west, you can see in the background the recomposure and town square space. We've provided spaces for artwork. This is actually a sculpture that is in storage that could be donated at any moment, really, if we decide. Nice bronze sculpture by artist Vic Payne. But this is one of many opportunities where we can provide artwork, and these very flexible spaces for passengers just to enhance that experience. And again, just to look back, this is really one of those discoveries in the project. Once we added that public amenity of the observation deck, the ability to see loved ones off to the gate is really something that was kind of special about this. So I'll turn it back over to Mark and continue.
Thank you, Casey. I probably didn't do a good enough job early on presenting how excited I am about this project, but every time I see these renderings, it makes me smile a little bit. And I forgot to mention, a time gone by where people remember going to the airport and seeing their loved ones off and everything, and I was thinking about that as I sit down, as I start going through the schedule and the budget and things like that, that I really wanted to convey how excited we are about this project and some of the great opportunities that it's going to bring back to the community. So with that, let's talk about where we are today and how we're going to get this accomplished. I want to go briefly over the schedule. I want to stress the importance of where we are in the project. We're as Mr. Cranenberg mentioned, we're at 30%. So we have a lot of meetings to go yet. We have a lot of stakeholders that we need to meet with. We have the TSA, the FAA, airlines. We have a lot of people and a lot of things to get through. So having said that, we are completed the 30% through the programming, planning, and the schematic design phase. We're starting the design development phase, which we anticipate completion in the second quarter of 2016. And then we are going to go into our bidding and construction phase of the project with an anticipated completion in the fourth quarter of 2018. Now again, talking a little bit about the costs, I want to mention that the costs include all of these amenities and the goals and the challenges and the things that we expressed early on in the presentation. It's 4 gates and not 3. It's an observation deck. It's improved circulation in the airport. It's enhancing the operational side and making those more efficient. So our preliminary construction cost estimate right now is $76,500,000. Our project soft cost, which includes A&E fees, program management fees, inspections, quality assurance programs, et cetera, that go along with every project, are $9.5 million for a preliminary total program cost of $86 million. That is, as I mentioned before, we're very early. That has a tendency to go down in our experience or up. We're pretty sure it's going to go down, but that's...
Right now, it includes a lot of contingency just because you're only in the 30%.
Right, and that's right. And I say that, and I wanted to bring up something that I mentioned early on in the presentation about the cargo building and some of the challenges that it poses to us right now. And some of the, and this ties to the schedule and the budget as well. And one of the things that we're doing to ensure that this project stays on schedule and on budget is that we're taking smaller bites, if you will. So we're taking the same project, we're going to issue what we call an enabling works package, and we feel that that will allow us to keep our in schedule and in budget and deal with some of the things that could be problematic up front. And those include demolition of the cargo building. You can see in the red outline there that that's one of the first things that needs to go so that we can make room. Other things include utility relocation. There's a major corridor in that end of the building that has water lines, sewer lines, high-pressure water lines. It has electricity, gas, and of course, communications. And we're working early with the communications companies and providers to ensure that we are able to handle those challenges early in the project. So, and then, of course, we have our construction fencing as well. So On that, I'd like to, again, thank you guys for the time this morning, and reiterate how excited we are, again, about this project, and open it up to any questions that you may have.
When is the Phase 2 scheduled to begin?
That will be based on demand. We don't want to overbuild gates. We're working on a plan now to try to incorporate these new gates to actually have tenants in them. Could be even before we even get new air service, so we're working on a plan for that. But you don't want to overbuild and overexpend and have outstanding debt that's not meeting demand.
Right.
That really is a chicken and egg deal, and it's kind of hard. But we know we need to at least do these first few gates to increase gate capacity.
Just the way this appears, Phase 1, to be constructed, how disruptive will it be to those new gates when you do begin construction of Phase 2?
Well, we actually think because of moving it more to the east, it's going to be as less disruptive as it can be. Now, there is a point where the buildings meet, obviously, and there is one gate at the end there. This, again, is part of our strategy with the Enabling Works package, is to minimize the disruption to the existing operations in the area. So there is going to be some disruption, but we're going to be able to contain the disruption outside the normal operation.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't...
You're talking about how does Phase 2 marry in with Phase 1?
Yes, the 4 gates that are being added to Phase 1, how much impacted will those new 4 gates be when Phase 2 construction begins?
One of the things we have looked at is, with the way the gates are laid out, we only have 1 gate on the east end of the concourse. And we've been looking there when the terminal needs to expand to the east. That 1 gate could be relocated to the north. There is space on the north side of the concourse that could accommodate that 1 gate in a temporary fashion to minimize the disruption to the operations. There will be some, but it'll be minimized.
Basically, you'd be relocating the jet bridge only.
Just 1 gate would be impacted out of... Okay, thank you.
I'd also point out that one of our driving factors in this whole design is the impact, unknown impacts we may have on an unknown future expansion. We've allowed and studied quite a bit with Mark a variety of options for future expansion depending on demand and depending on technology, unknown. So a key driver for our designers is to not restrict in any way that we can foresee future expansion.
Actually, the HVAC and mechanical and electrical that they're planning, those loads will also support an east expansion, as well as another backup generator.
Absolutely.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay. Very well. Thank you all very, very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Will Rogers Road Airport, sir.
Under Will Rogers, we're approving change order 17 to the construction contract with Manhattan for the new rental car facility. We're approving certificates of substantial completion for both sequences 1 and 2. This is subject to receipt of a temporary occupancy permit on or before October 1st. Item B is approving Amendment 6 to the contract with TTK. This is for the replacement of asphalt portions of taxiway C and G, adding $66,116.10 in 9 days to the amendment, and approving change order 8, adding $20,438.07. C is approving addendum number 1 to replace the asphalt portions of taxiway H with concrete. This is a new project, mainly funded by FAA, except the bids opened on June 23rd, awarding to TTK Construction for $7,289,896.75. and approving the contract and bonds. D is approving the contract for program consulting services with ADG Incorporated for terminal design program consulting services, sort of our owner's rep, if you will, in the amount of $600,000. Item E is approving change order number 4 to the contract with Wind Construction Company. This is for the terminal generator project, adding $1,898.58 in 15 days. F is approving change order 2 to the contract with Diversified Construction. They are doing the United Airlines ticket build-out. This is another adding 27 days due to delays with United Airlines getting the millwork in for Diversified to complete that project. Item G is amendment number 2 to the contract with Kimberly Horn, who's doing our airport parking facilities and revenue control study, adding $34,500. H is the recommendation by staff to award the contract to Aero Specialties to approve the contract in the amount of $94,006 for the purchase of a stair vehicle. This vehicle is much like a pickup with stairs on it that will allow us to deplane passengers in emergency fashions and for operational purposes. Item I is approving the concession disadvantaged business enterprise program for Will Rogers World Airport. This is an FAA requirement every 3 years. Those are the items under Will Rogers.
You've heard the items under Will Rogers. Trustees' desires?
Move the item. Second, and I do have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Mark, going back to item number A, can you remind us again? I'm sorry. Mark, going back to item number A, can you remind us when the consolidated rental car facility will be open for operations?
Sure. The first step is for Manhattan to complete their portion of the project, which we're very close. They're in the punch list item mode now. It's important for us to get the temporary certificate of occupancy clearly. However, normally when you get that, you see the public moving in. In this case, the public won't be moving in until about February or March because in accordance with our lease agreement with the rental car companies, after Manhattan finishes their work, they have 150 days to go in and do their interior build-outs in their own areas. So there's still some time to go. Yeah, the date of beneficial occupancy is programmed for March 2nd.
We had a motion and a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And it's done. Will Rogers Airport and Clarence C. Page, sir.
We're adopting a resolution under a joint resolution under item A for the Airport Trust in the city. This is to submit a grant application to the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission to get funds to participate in the Phase 2 project at Wiley Post Airport. Item B is ratifying the action of the general manager in approving the grant agreement received for the Phase 2 project at Wiley Post Airport for $3,560,494. C is approving amendment number 5 to the contract with Libra Electric Company. This is for the Phase 1 project for the infrastructure repairs and improvements project. This mainly dealt with the west parallel runway, the crosswind safety areas, and much lighting and guidance sign improvements for the west side of the airport. We're deducting $76,741.64, approving change order 4, adding 6 days, and we are accepting this as a completed project. And this is at Wiley Post. Item D is ratifying the action approving addendas 1 and 2 for the Phase 2 airfield infrastructure repairs and improvement, accepting the bids opened on June 23rd, and awarding to Libra Electric for $6,411,007, approving the contract and bonds. We're also deducting $659,645 in amendment number 1. Item E, last for general aviation, is approving the amendment 4 for the professional services with Garver. They will be doing the project representation for the Phase 2 infrastructure repairs and improvement projects. We're adding $335,340 to that project. That's all the general aviation items.
You've heard the general aviation items.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Please cast your votes. Next up, general.
We just have our standard reports on general, the accounts receivable report, which is in pretty good shape, about $12,000, our construction project status report, and the budget actual report.
You've heard the items under general.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Cast your votes. Lease and other agreements.
Item A is to approve the modification of the contract with the Transportation Security Administration. This is for leased premises that we provide for support of the K-9 detection teams. Item B and C are assignment assumption agreements and use guarantees for the sale of T-hanger units at Wiley Post Airport in accordance with the agreement we have with PWA Incorporated. D is approving the supplement number 2 to the lease for real property with the Federal Aviation Administration for the FAA building at Wiley Post. And item E is accepting the abrogation and hazard easement granted by the Central Oklahoma Habitat for Humanity Construction for a tract of land located in the vicinity of Wiley Post. Those are all the items we have under leases.
Thank you, Mr. Director. You've heard the items and the releases.
Move for approval. Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments? Please cast your votes. It is so done. Roman numeral 8, adopt the requisition resolution, and also to approve the Director of Airports' actions.
Request approval.
Move approval.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. It is so done. Comments from trustees? Seeing none. Comments from staff? Seeing none. Any citizens wishing to be heard? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all.